What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. So, definitely got one for y'all, man. This one here is the case of Drew Peterson. Now, sounds like a common name. Yeah, I know. You probably know a Drew Peterson, right? Easy, common name. But the description reads, shout outs to that chapter, Drew Peterson is quite the character. Rising up the ranks of Bolingbrook Police Department, he was married 4 times. 2 of his wife had mysterious ends. Yeah. And so with the media focusing on him, Drew began to lap it up and promote himself. So, this could get pretty crazy, all right? So we're going to get right to it, not play no games. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, join the fam. Once you do that, moment of silence for the haters. That's enough. Now run the likes up, baby. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Let's go.
Hey you and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old/new video, we're going to take a trip to the wonderful town of Bolingbrook, Illinois. Makes a change from Florida, Texas, and Canada, I suppose. Now, the name Peterson, it's kind of like one of those names that just keeps coming up. And here we have another, a boy named Drew. Now, he's probably, like, out of all the characters we've talked about, one of the most interesting. Kind of funny, charismatic, and not great. Drew loved being married 4 times, you know, he's quite a guy, quite a character. But he loved media attention even more. Over the decades, Sarge as he'd be known in his later years, probably by just me, well, he'd become a bit of a household name. This one's really about power struggles in a way. There's a lot in it, it's set over many years, so let's start telling it over many minutes. At least 30. Our boy Drew was born in 1954 in Bolingbrook, Illinois. He was the eldest child with 2 other siblings. His father was a Marine and their family was run pretty strict. At the ripe old age of 17, Drew got himself a pilot's license, which, you know, back then as it is now would be quite expensive. But his family, you know, spared no expense for this guy. Maybe Drew was gonna go fly in the military. He didn't, but he did go to the military. Before he got in, he started dating his high school sweetheart, Carol Brown. They were serious, got married when Carol was 17 years old. So, Drew joined the army, was an MP in 1974, but he was honorably discharged in 1976. After which, the couple moved back to Bolingbrook, Illinois, where Drew became a cop on the mean streets.
Why they had to play that porn music, man? He got the mustache though of like a porn star though. One of them throwback pornos.
He was ready for anything. Hey, looky see. Come on. If that tash says anything, it says don't mess with me or I'll have your ass. Drew and Carol would have not 1 but 2 kids together. In 1978, Drew became a frickin' narc man, and he became an undercover cop. He even looked quite the part. Doesn't get much more stereotypical than that. In 1980, Carol, she filed for divorce. Why, you ask? He had a great mustache, come on. I hear you're barking, big dog. Well, it turned out that Drew, liked to, stick his pew in other ladies' pews. See, he'd be off, you know, bragging to all the other lads about how easy it was to get chicks when you're a cop in the 70s. Carol just, didn't understand, you know, which from Drew's perspective would have been her problem, really. Carol, she got custody of the children, Drew got visitation rights, but that would be the end of that marriage. 1 down, 3 to go. In 1981, Drew met Kyle Peary. Drew, at 27, was 7 years older. He charmed the pants off her, literally, and everything seemed to be just going great. he had a good job, and even though Kyle Peary was underage, he could get her into bars, not a problem. Wait, what? A police officer breaking the rules they're supposed to enforce? Well, this is the first time I'm hearing about something like this. However, unsurprisingly, as I'm making this video, Drew had a dark side. He would want to know Kyle's every move. He would follow her. He would drive by her place so he knew where she was and to check.
And see, people think that these officers don't be abusing their power. Like they have power to be able to find stuff out about you. Look at him. Possessive. So now he's stalking her. And then, come on, bro. You getting underage girls into bars? That's what I be saying, man. Oh, and let's not display the fact that there aren't some good cops out there. Those are the ones, man. I know they're out there. So we're never talking about them. It's just these, bro, these bad ones here that abuse power and take advantage of people. How you gonna get somebody into a bar? Now, if that goes down, now what you got? You holding something over the owner? Because he know that girl ain't supposed to be in that bar, but you're a cop, so he's probably letting you by with it. So what are you holding over? See, it goes deep, man. It goes deep.
Check she wasn't lying. He would interrogate her about where she went when she wasn't with him. Hey, leave it at the office, pal. Kyle eventually wanted to call off the relationship. Drew didn't take that very well, and things got a little bit physical. This would end with Kyle calling the police, though, as Drew was a police officer, who would show up? What the lads from the station? How are you, Drew? What's the crack? So as you can imagine, not really much happened. So Drew and Kyle were no longer a thing. I mean, in Kyle's mind at least. See, Kyle Peary would have to go to court. Because what Drew was doing, now that she had left him, was him and the boys would write parking tickets for her. But they wouldn't leave them on her car. So she had parking tickets just building up that she had no idea about until eventually a warrant was issued for her arrest. Guess who the officer who arrested her was? If she brought it to court, it would be dropped. But Drew wanted to make sure that everybody else knew who was wearing the badge.
That better not have held up in court if man, that's just, isn't that like a conflict of interest? How you gonna even write tickets for your own spouse?
In this town, and Drew found a new plaything, 23-year-old Vicky Connolly. They met in a bar. Drew was interested in her right away. She was a 10. But she was still married in the eyes of the law when Drew met her. But she was in the process of getting a divorce. As things were a bit messy for her at the time, she told Drew, "I'll take a rain check. Not really a good time for me to get into something new." Drew, as you can imagine, did not take no for an answer and hounded her, until she eventually relented. As soon as her divorce was finalized, Drew and Vicky married. But the honeymoon stage didn't last long. See, Drew, well, he's a real piece of shit. We knew that already. He got into trouble in the narc department. He was fired from the unit after being accused of taking bribes and also dealing the drugs he was supposed to be seizing.
Oh my gosh, bro. We was having this conversation the other day, fam. We was having, not y'all, but me and somebody else, bro. Like, I think I was watching American Gangster. You know how they was taking the drugs off the street and the cops was putting it back on the street? And I was like, yo, this stuff really happened, fam. Look at him. Taking bribes, using, like, I was just talking about this, bro. And some people still live in a little bubble thinking this doesn't take place, but it does. They pull somebody over, take a key off of them, and the key doesn't make it back to the station. Or they take some money off of them and the money never surfaces.
He got busted down to patrol PC Plod. The demotion came with a demoted paycheck, and Vicky and Drew would have to move out of their house to a smaller home. However, before the shit hit the fan, the couple bought a bar together, called Sud's Bar, which they still held onto. Drew did not take the demotion well. He started to become even more controlling, aggressive, verbally and physically abusive. Even one time pulling a gun on Vicky, telling her he could kill her and make it look like an accident. And Drew, following his Peter son, found a new woman, Kathleen Savio. He would tell Kathleen all about Vicky, that they were married, though he was able to tell the story from a certain point of view. He told Kathleen that Vicky was a junkie, and he wanted to file for divorce as he couldn't take it anymore. So Drew and Kathleen, they began seeing each other, and when Vicky found out, she began to file for divorce. Although, as we've seen with Kyle Peary, well,
we're not done yet.
One night, when Vicky was heading home from the bar, Suds, that she co-owned with Drew, she got into an accident. Someone cut the brakes on her car and she flipped multiple times. Very nearly died. She was in a coma for over a week and needed reconstructive surgery. When she woke up...
Coward. Straight coward. You gonna cut her brake line, bro? You's a coward. I hope this is the end of you for that.
Well, now Drew owned the bar by himself and he had a divorce. So now, Kathleen. She grew up in not great circumstances. Her stepdad was a deadbeat, her biological dad didn't pay child support, and her and her siblings would leave home at an early age. She would go on to become an accountant and wanted all the things she didn't have when she was growing up. A house, family, money, security. And she thought she found them when she met Drew Peterson on a blind date. They got married in 1992. And to absolutely no one's surprise, well, maybe Kathleen's, things went down the toilet pretty quickly. 1 year after they married, Kathleen was even hospitalized. Drew beat her so bad. Though it was one of those I fell down the stairs type deals. Though it would be almost 10 years into their marriage that things would finally come to a head. In October 2001, Kathleen received an anonymous letter. In the letter, she was told that Drew was having an affair with a 17-year-old, Stacy. Drew was 47 years old at the time. This time it was Drew who filed for divorce. The divorce was crazy. Police were involved many times due to violence coming from the home. Once again, as soon as the divorce was finalized, Drew got married.
Alright, ladies, y'all starting to piss me off. Like, I'm gonna need y'all to start looking at some of these dudes, man. Why does this dude keep getting married, fam? What's going on? Is it because he's choosing the younger women each time? Because I'm the type of person that's gonna believe that an older woman, this wouldn't play out. Like, they would do their homework, give it some time, see who you really are before they married you. He keeps going after these younger women that have these impressionable minds. I see his little game plan, his little strategy.
Stacy was only 19 at the time, and soon she was pregnant. And Drew and Stacy
met her at 17, married at 19.
Would live just 2 blocks away from Kathleen. And, as we've seen many times before, he continued to intimidate and harass Kathleen. They had 2 kids together, so they saw each other regularly. And Drew would still be physically abusive toward her, though Kathleen would be the one to get in trouble.
Huh?
In 2002, Kathleen asked for an emergency order of protection. She was afraid for her life, even telling her sister, "He's gonna kill me, and he'll make it look like an accident." She was hopeless. Drew was the police. Kathleen reported to police that one night, Drew broke into her home with a knife. Kathleen basically just said to him, "Do it. Just get it over with." Drew, he pulled the knife, put it to her head, but said he couldn't do it, and he left. She reported that to the police, right? But Drew, he had his own version of events, which were quite different. He said that, she invited him over. He opened the door and who was standing there? Kathleen, maybe taking off her clothes, shaking her boobs, asking him if he missed anything. So, nothing happened. Kathleen then wrote to the state attorney. He knows how to manipulate the system, and his next step is to take my children away or kill me instead. I'm asking for your help now, before it's too late. Her letter was ignored, and Kathleen was ignored. In early 2004, a property settlement was scheduled between Kathleen and Drew. Kathleen didn't make it that long. In 2004, she was found dead, face down in an empty bathtub, with a gash on her scalp and her hair wet.
Did y'all notice the mark under her eye even in that picture? Come on, man. And they not really paying attention to him at the police because he's one of them. He's an officer. So everything is probably getting swept up under the rug. Even though he was demoted. But still, everything probably getting swept up under the rug until something.
Bathtub with a gash on her scalp and her hair wet. Now, the way Kathleen was found is interesting. So the day before she was found, it was a Sunday, so the weekend, Drew had the kids. That evening, Drew was going to drop the kids back to Kathleen's house for the week. However, when he rocked up, he got no answer knocking on the door. He then took the children back to his house, thinking, she was out and about, he'd go back later on that day to drop off the kids. Popped back again, knocked away on the door again, got no answer again, took the kids back for another night. Pop by again, the next morning. Kathleen, she's God knows where, In a bathtub, maybe? He tried calling her the next morning, but got no answer. So, on the 1st of March 2004, he decided to call Kathleen's neighbours in case they heard from her. They said they hadn't seen her in 2 days, and he asked them to accompany him going inside Kathleen's home to check if everything was okay. It was the neighbours who found Kathleen face down.
Red flag. Who does that? Who calls the neighbor? Hey, I got my kids here. I don't even know how that phone call would go. Hey, have you seen? Now, if you were calling them to ask them, have they seen her? That's one thing. But to accompany you inside to look for her, that screams suspicious to me. Why? Because you would just why not call a family member? Why not call the police? You call the neighbor? That sounds like somebody who knew the body was already in there, just wanted somebody to go in there to make it look like you had no idea. And they can vouch for where you were when they discovered her.
In an empty bathtub. She had bruises on the front of her body, a gash on her scalp, a scrape on her back. But the coroner stated she had no defensive wounds. There was also no sign of forced entry. And the coroner said, due to that, she more likely slipped, banged her head, and drowned in the bathtub. An empty bathtub. So Kathleen's death was ruled an accident. The next day, Drew was called in for an interview, but as you can imagine, it was not really, too official. It was more like a talk between buddies, sharing a few beers, whatever. The investigating officer was a good friend of Drew's. Drew explained he spent his free time during the weekend at home in the company of his children and Stacy. Police called Stacy in for an interview as well, but funny thing is, Drew told his buddies, he'll sit in on Stacy's interview. Stacy was heavily pregnant at the time, and he wanted to make sure she was okay. So sweet. Stacy gave Drew an alibi for the night of Kathleen's death. She stated that they were together the entire night. I'm sure he was staring at her with those Manson lamps the entire time. 2 weeks after the accident, Drew provided a handwritten will of Kathleen and himself, stating, it stated that, if anything happened to one of them, the other one gets all their shit.
Did he say handwritten? He just pulled out this randomly handwritten will for her? Nah, that's not suspicious at all. And I'm not saying they can't be handwritten. I'm just saying now that you produce this after, like,
Funny thing is, previously, during the divorce process, it was stated that no such will existed. Lucky for Drew, right? I know. Drew got
That makes it even worse.
full custody of the kids, and Stacy legally adopted them as well. And Drew and Stacy's marriage was soon in the shitter itself. He constantly needed to know where she was. He was verbally abusive. The usual. And in 2007, after contacting a divorce attorney, she disappeared. On the morning of the 28th of October 2007, Stacy decided to head over to her sister's place to help her with some home renovation, some painting, but she never arrived. Why? Well, allegedly, 23-year-old Stacy, she took off with another fella. I know, right? She had taken her passport, a bikini, and a few $1,000s in cash. It was her sister who filed the missing persons report. Those who knew her said she would never leave her children behind. However, Drew said, yeah, the day she disappeared, she called me. She called me, and she told me what she was doing. She said she was running off with another guy. She left her car at the airport, and she told me where her car was. I went off, picked up her car, drove back home, before she was reported missing. But she's fine. Really, she's out there, living the high life, So for Drew, it's just, tough shit,
Does that even sound believable? Seriously. And then another thought. By now, you've had, your own department should be so suspicious of you by now, right? One, brake line cut, but it never really traced back to you. Then, one found in a tub. Oh, okay. Now, third one missing. Oh, but this is all coincidence, huh? You just keep popping up.
This is Chicago's very own WGN News at Noon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tom Negaman.
And I'm Micah Mater. We begin our coverage this noon in Bolingbrook, where WGN's Robert Jordan has been following the Peterson case. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Micah. Well, police here in Bolingbrook are assisting the Illinois State Police in trying to locate the missing woman. 23-year-old Stacy Ann Peterson is the wife of a patrol sergeant here with the Bolingbrook Police Department, and family members say that she hasn't been heard from since last Sunday. Since Stacy Ann Peterson is married to a Bolingbrook police sergeant, Drew Peterson, the Bolingbrook Police Department decided it would be best if the Illinois State Police handled the investigation. The disappearance of Stacy Peterson has stunned family members who have not heard from her since October 28th.
I agree. Get another outside agency because y'all clearly can't get this right about him. I agree. Bring somebody in from the outside.
He was questioned in relation to the disappearance. He referred to Stacy in the past tense and refused to allow police to search his home. This got a fair bit of attention, which he lapped up.
Mr. Peterson, you like to say anything?
Never have over 2 books a day. Please go home. Thanksgiving's the next couple of days. Please go home. Please leave me alone. Please don't get involved in my little world. I've talked to you before, so I got kids in the car, So
we're not shooting the kids.
I'll talk to you another time. Folks, this is the holiday season. I know at least 5 families that are losing their homes that are in this area. You probably should put maybe a little bit of effort into saving these people and their families, or reaching out to your fellow man. If someone needs a shoulder to cry on or they need a meal for their families, you guys should be maybe putting a little more effort into doing that rather than harassing my family. You folks have a good day. I'm still in love with Stacy, and I miss her. So.
Thank you, Drew.
But the investigation...
You don't seem like you miss her. You don't seem distraught. You don't seem like you're mad. Even if the whole she ran off with another guy, you don't seem to care about that. Really? Really? Okay.
was not over. That's when Thomas Morphe... It's spelled like this. Drew Peterson's stepbrother, he entered the picture. Bear with me, if you wouldn't mind, as we go through this. Now, Thomas was questioned by police while he was in hospital. He was in hospital because he tried killing himself. Now, why did he try to take his own life? On the 27th of October, the day before Stacy disappeared, Drew started to discuss his relationship with Stacy. He told Thomas that Stacy was cheating on him and he had to take care of this problem. He asked Thomas if he loves him enough to kill for him. Thomas said no. Drew then asked if Thomas could live with knowing about it. Thomas said he could, as he had a feeling that Drew killed Kathleen. Drew then drove them to a storage rental place and asked Thomas to rent a unit for him. In return, he would give him $2,000. However, Thomas couldn't rent a unit in the end. He needed ID. A few hours later, Thomas called Drew and said he couldn't be involved in this plan, whatever it was, wink wink. Drew said he could respect that. Then, the next day, on the 28th of October, Drew showed up at Thomas's home. They went for a drive and Drew handed Thomas a cell phone, instructing him not to answer it. 45 minutes later, the phone rang twice, the caller ID saying, Stacy. Then they drove to Drew's house, where Drew pushed a blue barrel out of his bedroom. Thomas then helped Drew to carry the barrel down the stairs, out of the house and into the car. And Drew then gave Thomas some money. Drew then drove him home and told him this never happened. Thomas then tried to kill himself after realizing he helped Drew get rid of something. Thomas was offered an immunity deal.
It be your own family. It be your, I know everybody wants to run all the time with that, and I do too sometimes with that whole blood thicker than water type stuff. But it be your own family. Show up at your house and have you helping them dispose of a dead body. And the brother messed up telling him he could live with it. He could live with it. Sick.
Drew Peterson denies reports that a relative helped him move a container that held his missing wife's body.
Julian Cruz is in Bolingbrook with the latest details. Julian?
Robin, startling new revelations about this mysterious container, a container that has clearly become the focus of this sensational missing persons case. All this as suspect Drew Peterson continues his sometimes bizarre, long-running dialogue with the media.
What's going on today?
What's going on today?
Yes.
We went to McDonald's. Okay. We had Happy Meals and McRib sandwiches. How's that? And that's what's going on today. What I want to talk about is I'm going to come camp myself in front of your house and see if you like it.
If he feels pressure from all the scrutiny, it's hard to tell. At times joking, smiling, even laughing with reporters, you almost get the feeling that Drew Peterson is somehow enjoying the attention.
He is. Spotlight, attention, all on him. He loving it. Never seen nobody in the... He hasn't cried in the camera. He hasn't been distraught. Nothing. No type of signs that he feels like she's ever coming back or he's really playing into that she ran off and left him. But he ain't even pissed about that. Like, come on, man.
Officially, however, he is considered a suspect in the sudden disappearance of his fourth wife, Stacy Peterson. The former Bolingbrook police...
Fourth wife. Remember, y'all, the other one, they found in the tub. The one before that, brake line, is in the hospital. And then this one is gone. Anybody else noticing the pattern? And I'm not a police officer, bro. Sorry.
Sergeant came out of his house yesterday with a home video camera, walking around the small army of TV news trucks and personnel virtually camped out in front of his Bolingbrook home. This bizarre spectacle amid reports that one of his relatives tried to commit suicide just days after allegedly helping Drew remove a large blue container from Drew's bedroom the day after Stacy Peterson disappeared. The Chicago Tribune reports that the relatives said the mysterious container was warm to the touch. But late last night, our own Julie Unruh confronted Peterson about the container and the allegation that the container may have had the body of Stacy Peterson.
Relative of yours saying he helped carry a rectangular container out of your home on October 28th.
I have no idea what anybody's talking about like that.
Warm to the touch.
Nope.
He says he believes that he helped you dispose of your wife's body. Nope. Can you at least respond to that?
Nope.
Not at all.
No response. Talk to my lawyer. I got nothing to say about it.
No truth to it whatsoever.
None. Nobody helped me with anything in such a manner.
On October 28th, where were you on October 28th? This gentleman says he helped you carry a container out of your home.
You're going to have to talk to my attorney. Okay? Have a good day.
Peterson's denial comes as law enforcement intensifies the search for the missing container. Volunteers searching for Stacy Peterson say they've been told by state police to look for this possibly blue container.
See, the way the winds were blowing, Drew decided it would be best to lawyer up. He got himself a defense attorney named Joel Brodsky. As it turned out, his lawyer was more of his publicist than anything else. The two actually made a contract in which Joel was to get money out of each and all of his and or Drew's interviews and other media coverage. Might as well make a bit of kibosh to, out of the newspapers and media, wanting to know if you, killed your wife.
I want you to be 100% honest with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, no, I'm going to lie to you.
I want you to be 100% honest.
Okay.
Seriously. Did you kill your wife, Stacy?
No.
No question at all in your mind?
No question at all in my mind.
What about your wife, Kathy?
No.
Did you have anything to do with the death of Kathy?
Nothing.
Why are you talking? Because it's a...
I ain't gonna lie, his face and demeanor, he could have passed a lie detector test right there telling that lie. Like, did anybody else feel that or get that sense? Because I was staring at his eyes, seeing if his eyes move, his face, if he gave any type of... I didn't catch anything. Anything. So he would have probably passed a lie detector test if I had to guess.
I know there are a lot of people who are going to be watching this saying, what was he thinking? Like, why do you think it's important to talk?
I'm really being portrayed as a monster here, and nobody's defending me.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's stepping up and saying, no, he's a decent guy, he helps people, he does this, he does that. So somebody's got to say something.
Someone said either you're guilty of both of these, or you have the worst luck in the world.
You think?
You just happen to marry two women. One is missing and one who's dead.
Correct.
Which is it? You just have bad luck?
I guess this is bad luck.
A week and a half after Stacy's disappearance, police ruled that they believed Stacy was the victim of foul play.
Did y'all catch that right at the end? Listen, he answered the question correct. She said two people that, listen to what she says.
Someone said either you're guilty of both of these, or you have the worst luck in the world.
You think?
You just happen to marry two women. One is missing and one who's dead.
Correct.
Which is it? You just have bad luck?
I guess this is bad luck.
A week.
I thought she wasn't missing, according to you. She just out there with some guy. According to you, she ain't missing. She's fine. Which one is it?
A week and a half after Stacy's disappearance, police ruled that they believed Stacy was the victim of foul play. And so, gradually more and more information started to come out. Neighbors told the police they had seen two men carrying a blue barrel out of the house. Drew's exes came forward, telling the police what kind of man he is. With all of the information police gathered, they decided there was another case they had to look into. As there was no hard evidence regarding what happened to Stacy, they hoped to find results regarding the death of Kathleen Savio. So, while searches were made to find Stacy, Kathleen's body was exhumed and re-examined. Two different pathologists were involved, and they disagreed with the original coroner's findings. Because of the bruises and abrasions to her body and the way in which her body was positioned in the tub, they determined the manner of her death was homicide.
And last week, his third wife's death was ruled not an accident, but a homicide. Drew Peterson is with us this morning, along with his attorney, Joel Brodsky. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
So since you were here 3 months ago, when Stacy was missing for 1 month, now she hasn't been seen of or heard from in 4 months. And this big development, Drew, was this issue last week where a coroner's report after an autopsy now rules that your third wife, Kathleen Savio, died not of an accident, but of homicide. Considering that you were already under the magnifying glass, how did you greet that news?
It was kind of shocking. We believed for the last 4 years that her death was accidental, and then all of a sudden, that was with the fresh autopsy. Now all of a sudden, there's new autopsy with an old body, let's say, and it's been ruled a homicide. I'm kind of suspicious of it.
You don't think that the coroner's report is accurate?
I'm not sure. I think it needs to be scrutinized and looked at a little closer.
And this happened.
You know what you should do? You should have a win a date with Drew contest.
I'll do a dating game with you.
Drew? Me. Up to you, man.
I don't know. It's the lawyer.
Yeah, why not?
Could being the right caller get you a date with Drew Peterson? Police say the former suburban Chicago police officer is a suspect in the disappearance of his wife, Stacy. But that didn't stop his attorney from suggesting the promotion to radio station WJMK-FM. And host Steve Dahl reportedly thought it was a great idea. But the station's vice president says no way. He says win a date with Drew will not happen on the station. Peterson's attorney, Joel Brodsky, says his client didn't do anything wrong and is entitled to have some fun. Stacy
Yo, this dude is on a press campaign. He's out here on a press campaign. Win a date with Drew? Yo, can we please get this fool behind bars quick or death penalty, whatever we decide. I'm about sick of him now at this point. This media whore. Like, come on, fam. Win a date with Drew. Are you kidding me?
Peterson has been missing since October, and Drew insists she ran off with another man and is still alive. The search for the missing mother of two has drawn national attention.
Shockingly and, frankly, disappointingly, never came to pass. And on April 1st, 2009, Drew decided to call a local radio station.
Where's Drew?
We got him, Drew.
Peterson.
He finally picked up.
I'm here.
All right, buddy. Well, you called us. What's going on?
I've just been on the phone with my attorney, Joel Brodsky, for the last half hour, and he's telling me just to keep my mouth shut and sit tight, but I got to come clean with this. I wanted to do it with you. Is that okay with you?
Well, I don't know what you're going to say.
Oh. This is hard, Mancow. This is hard.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do here?
Well, I just got to tell you, it's been weighing heavy on my chest for some time now, and I just got to say that the chicken wings at Addiction Bar and Grill are the best I've ever had. 1023 West Lake. Happy April Fool's Day, Mancow.
Oh, heck nah. They should arrest him for that alone. That alone. Yo, I'm about sick of this dude, bro. Are you kidding me? You gonna play around with deaths and missing people like that? You gonna troll like that? Are you serious? I thought he was about to confess. This fool does an April Fool. Like, I hope that is an additional charge when they catch him. I don't know what it would be classified as or what they could write it up under. I don't care. I hope it get added on. I hope he gets an additional whatever unless it's death, then you can't tack nothing on to that. But if he gets life, hope it's life plus life plus life plus death.
What a great, April Fool's Day plan Drew and Joel had. By the way, that
I bet her family didn't find that funny. None of the other victim family probably didn't find that funny.
That chicken wing place, that Drew mentioned in his confession. That restaurant was owned by Joel Brodsky. Yeah, so they were really just milking this for all it's worth. It's fantastic. Love to see it.
You seem so upbeat. How do you manage to stay so upbeat, given the fact that your wife's been missing for 3 months?
Oh, it's just, you know, you do what you can. You know, I'm not going to go hide in the corner and cry about it. You know, it's just like I personally grieve over it. But I do that all on my own.
The neighbors said that they saw you carrying out a big blue barrel that would be big enough.
Again, Shepard, that's not what we agreed to talk about. You know,
I didn't agree to any restrictions on conversation. I would never do that. I just wonder what.
Okay, well then I guess I got to walk away. Have a good day, Mr. Shepard. It was nice talking to you.
Well, he'll talk about the dating game, but he won't talk about the fact that the neighbor.
Right. He'll do a April Fool's joke or something like that, promoting some chicken wings at a bar, restaurant, or whatever it was from his lawyer. But he can't talk about this, the actual person who's missing. Okay.
That the neighbors say they saw him with a large 55-gallon blue barrel, carrying it out with someone else, and shortly after his wife went missing.
Have a good day, guys.
His fourth wife went missing. His third wife died in a dry bathtub.
Finally, on May 7th, 2009, Drew Peterson was indicted and arrested for the murder of Kathleen.
Oh, we gotta clap it up for that, y'all. We gotta clap it up for that. I'm trying not to clap too hard, even though I want to bang my hands together. Try not to clap too hard, because I don't want to bust y'all eardrums, but about time. About time.
Savio.
Hey, sir, stand by. All right. Turn around. Move back for your own safety.
Bad boys, what you want? What you gonna do? Yeah, bad boy, what you gonna do? Exactly, I'm hyped for him going to jail.
Move back. Get on the sidewalk.
So as we already know, this case is cuckoo pants. So why would the trial be any different? Well, it turns out that in the weeks before her disappearance, Stacy told at least 3 people that she believed her husband Drew was responsible for what happened to his third wife. That he killed her, murdered her. Drew asked the judge to exclude testimony from Stacy's pastor and the divorce lawyer. Stacy had told them both Drew killed Kathleen. Drew asked the judge to exclude them since neither was available to testify to those facts themselves. The judge ruled against Drew, and so a law got dubbed Drew's Law, which allows a judge to admit hearsay statements if a prosecutor can prove a defendant may have killed a witness to prevent them from testifying. On September 6, 2012, Drew was found guilty of premeditated murder. On February 21st, 2013, Drew Peterson was sentenced to 38 years in prison.
I feel like he needs more.
He was incarcerated at Menard Correctional Center in Chester, Illinois. Later, he was moved to the Federal Correctional Institution, Terre Haute. Within a month, he was attacked by another prisoner, who hoped to sell his belongings on eBay to some true crime aficionados. But the story doesn't end there. See, there's another twist. And that would be Drew Peterson's solicitation for murder. Yeah. One inmate said he was playing basketball in the prison yard in October 2013 when Drew approached him asking for a favor. The inmate said Drew asked him to get someone to kill James Glasgow. James Glasgow was the state's attorney who put him away.
On what you said, that's the green light. Basically, go ahead and kill him. Right. That's what you wanted, right? Good. It ain't no turning back. Okay. Right.
From the first time we talked about it.
Huh?
The first time we talked about it, there was no turning back. If I get some booze in here, we'll celebrate that night. But the first thing they will identify him as the guy that got me. That's what he's known for. That's what he'll. That's the guy that runs it. Drew Peterson.
Drew told this inmate his appeal would be nearly guaranteed to succeed if James was out of the picture, and the prosecutor's assistants wouldn't have the guts to charge him with Stacy's disappearance.
Glasgow is dead by Christmas. When would that put you out? Approximately, like, what do you think? Are you worried about his ADAs or anything?
He'll never let me alone. If I get out, he's going to charge me with Stacy.
If you get out, he's going to charge you with what?
Stacy.
Right.
You know, even though they don't have grounds for that, but they didn't have grounds for this other thing.
Okay, so they got you on Kathleen.
Yeah.
I thought they got you on Stacy.
No. Stacy's still alive, running around out there.
Drew got another 40 years for that, where he remains.
Clap it up for another additional 40.
To this day. Where Stacy is, we don't know. Drew's never been charged in connection with her disappearance. Stacy's sister is still trying to find her. She says Drew disposed of her sister's body in a canal. She actually has sonar pictures of what she believes are Stacy's remains, and has a GoFundMe set up to bring her home. Though the police aren't really helping her for some reason. Maybe they don't think it's credible, but who knows? And so ends the story of Drew Peterson. To date, I mean, because this story is so batshit. Wouldn't surprise me if more craziness were to emerge. I mean, it's a lot to wrap your head around. He was a busy guy. It's very much a story about the abuse of power. Drew thought he could do whatever he wanted, while now in prison. Can't do so much anymore. Surrounded by killers, couldn't even organize a murder.
Wow. That was one for the books, bro. That was one for the books. 4 wives. The first one, she got out of there. She was the smart one. She got out of there. The other 3 had to suffer. The second wife, breaks cut. The third one, found in a tub. And now the 4th one, missing. But yet, this fool must have walked the streets for how long? And he was an officer. A demoted one, but still an officer. How? Right up under y'all's nose. Y'all don't see the coincidences? Him keep popping up. You wait till after the second one, maybe let's hire an house. Make no sense. Y'all should have knew back when he was taking bribes and selling drugs that maybe this dude here isn't good for us. This shouldn't be a cop. You think? But at least he got his time. He gonna be in there forever. Hopefully the family can get some closure and find her body. And yeah, worried about his brother too. That's crazy. He got immunity though for telling the truth. So, but this is crazy, fam. Y'all be careful out there choosing your spouses. You never know. You never know. Do your homework on a person. Profile them. Do some type of due diligence. I don't want to see nobody else in none of these type of situations, all right? It's your boy L. Y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Until the next reaction, I'm out. Peace, y'all. Stay silent. Ayy.